Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today, our Q&A session with Stephen Abrahamsen. How do you say that, Stephen?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
He's a developer with Rossware. So please go ahead and kick it off.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
So today we had a session on SD Mobile. It looks like a few weeks ago we had another session on SD Mobile from Carrie. I know she did a great job with that. I reviewed some of that video. But today the hope is that we can have a little conversation about SD Mobile and maybe get you guys a little bit more familiarized, answer any questions that you've got. And I've got a bunch of questions that people ask me all the time. So I'll answer those questions if nobody can think of anything. But to get started, is there anybody who has anything in particular that they'd like to chat about, ask about, anything on their mind?
Stephen?
Hi, Michael.
Hi, how are you doing?
Great. How are you?
One of the things that I would like to see in SD Mobile is when the texts are out of their time frames, that they're notified of it so that they could either robocall or email or text rather than keeping that burden in the office, because there's many times that the girls on the dispatch map miss that. You know, they're busy doing other things. And then we get a bad Google review or a Yelp review, and
long-term consequences.
Right. So if we can put the burden on the technician, because they're actually the one at the job and all they got to do is click a button, that would be awesome.
Perfect. So when you say out of time frame, can you tell me what you mean by that?
So the technicians are scheduled usually a time frame and they run their route, and you know, Mrs. Smith is scheduled 8 to 10 and Mrs. Jones is scheduled, 9 to 11 or whatever. And they get caught up on Mrs. Smith. And the next thing you know, it's 11:30.
I see.
And Mrs. Jones is going, hey, my guy was supposed to be here before 11 and here it is 11:30. And the next thing you know, they're calling the office, and the girls missed it at the office because it flashes on the dispatch map when they're out of their time frame.
Yep.
So that if there's something that comes up on the technician screen, by the way, you're out of the time frame for
the next job,
your next job, and they can, just like we do where we notify the customer that with a robocall or a text or email, that they're on their way.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a great idea. So we typically, the way that we go about getting new features in the application is you can either send feedback through the application or through the support team. And then we've got a great big list of all the things that people would like. And this is a great example of one that's pretty quick to do. We can probably get it in there pretty quick. And we take those items that are on the agenda, and then we prioritize them according to, how much need there is and that kind of thing. So I'll take your request and I'll put it on that list, call it our backlog, and we will we'll prioritize it as high as we can. I appreciate that. I appreciate that request there.
Okay. Well, I've went to Glade and I've went to everybody, and they said to get in touch with you. And
of course,
I did send an email back quite a while ago, and it was sent to you. So that's it. Just bringing it up because we're live in person. And
for sure. Hard to ignore.
And can anybody else on here that's muted give it a thumbs up to that suggestion? Or Scott, I see you there, buddy. You give me a thumbs up on that? I can't hear you. Just give me a thumbs up in front of your face if you like that.
There we go. We got the thumbs up. Love it. Okay. All right, Michael. Well, I do really appreciate that. If that wasn't on our list, it's definitely not on our support teams. On that was on me, so I apologize if I missed that one. But thanks for bringing it up. I do appreciate that. Anybody else have any? I love feature suggestions. So anything else you guys have got? This is a great time. Oh, looks like maybe Scott. Are you trying to chat there? No, you're not.
Okay.
No.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
I'm sorry. So, hey, a lot of people are going remote, more and more remote. And I would like a feature. And listen, I would even be willing to pay for the app if you could just send me to the right person to build the app to integrate into service desk. But I need to be able to, my technicians need to be able to check parts in from the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you say check parts in, are you talking about checking parts into your inventory or check parts in special order? What are you talking about?
Just special order. So like I have one location that has 4 technicians, and we ship all the parts to one storage unit. And so what I would like for that any one of those 4 technicians to be able to go in there and put the invoice number in, and it or just list all the parts that are on special order in the app. And then they put the invoice number in there, and then they just check off all the parts that they received.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of like the bulk check-in process in Service Desk, but you'd like a mobile version of that.
Yes.
I totally understand. I think that's a pretty common request and definitely something that I would love to add. Does anybody else have any more commentary on that? Anything else that you'd like to add to that feature request?
Hey, this is Bob. Credit card processing. We're still waiting for some type of Bluetooth device where we can scan in or use the credit cards with the chip on them.
Gotcha.
Right now, we just write the credit card numbers down on our ticket and the office processes them.
Have you been introduced to the Genius Mini system from TSYS? I guess World Payments now.
Unfortunately, it won't work with the processor that we're using. You only had 2, and we switched from the one processor because they were killing us with charges. The newer processor doesn't accept those.
Gotcha. So Altiris in particular doesn't have that one. Yeah.
Yep.
I 100% agree with you. That is something that's been on my short list for quite some time. We haven't had, we've had a few people request that specifically. You're probably one of 4 or 5 people who've specifically requested a new chip reader, specifically with the EMV reading. And like I've said in the past, I think that's something that we really need to prioritize, but we try to prioritize things that clients prioritize. So I would love to hear, especially from you all who are participating in this meeting, is that something that would help your businesses as well? I mean, I know from my perspective, if I have a service business, I think I would like to prioritize EMV chip readers outside of Cayenne. So I'd love to hear more.
A high percentage of our calls are credit card, and
absolutely.
Square is one processor that has a small Bluetooth device, something like that.
Yeah, I totally understand. We have looked into quite a few other chip readers. One of the difficulties and part of the reason that we haven't done additional chip readers is the difficulty with integrating a new chip reader with our application framework. That's not anything that you need to be concerned about. That's our job to do that anyway. But that's the biggest reason. We have so many things on the to-do list, and often we've found that other things just end up getting prioritized above that. But if we receive more information from customers that have a desperate need for that, we would love to prioritize it above our other items. So especially in this meeting, if you all would like to +1 that, I don't know how we can participate in some sort of survey here, but I'd love to hear more from other folks on that topic.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay. Excellent. Does anybody else have anything to add on the chip reader stuff?
We need to figure out how to raise our hands or give us a thumbs up. Or,
we do. I apologize. I'm not too familiar with this format, so it's
okay. So at the bottom, you can enter your reaction that you like. You can also raise your hand, so you can do a heart like you see right there, or a thumbs up, and then you can also do raise your hand.
Gotcha.
So if you want to speak, or you want to wait your turn and Stephen can call on you, or you're just saying hi. And then you can just click on the little dots to the right of your name to lower your hand.
Perfect.
If that works, or in the chat, just write your name and you're interested in it, and that would work as well.
Absolutely.
And we can pull those for you, Stephen, before we get off.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that. I think that some long-term format of discussion for some of this stuff would be really helpful. I know at one point we had we had a chat medium, some sort of message board for a lot of this stuff, and I think it's gone by the wayside. I would love to receive this kind of feedback from you all and have a forum for everybody to discuss together. So I wonder, I think that would be great, but we have found in the past that often it's tough for you as clients to set aside the time to get involved in those sorts of discussions. But I do think that it'd be really valuable if we could set something up like that. So if you all were interested in having some sort of long-term discussion on topics like these, let me know. I mean, this is, I leave a message or hit a +1 or something like that. I don't know. I guess we need a real-time, some sort of mechanism for that kind of stuff. Anyway, Sean, do you have a question? I don't know how to say yes to the hand raising.
All right, I was trying to get the...
all he has to do is unmute.
Yeah, I was trying to get it off. I just couldn't get it there. You hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. It's kind of going on that lines of that, the credit card thing. I use the Genius and everything, but when we send an email from the mobile app to them, it's just an email. There is no pay for like we do back at the office. Is there a way we can get that set up to where when the tech's out there can actually send that email, they actually can pay for it? Because I know the first couple of times I tried to tell people, hey, you can pay from it, not realizing that option was not allowed through the iOS system.
Through the mobile app. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would love to add that feature as well. You're talking about the online payment system. Yeah, we absolutely have the capability of doing that, and 100%. I would love to see that integrated. Often, other folks have their process is often they send their invoices directly from the office, and when they send those invoices from the office, they send that online payment option. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. Maybe what I need to do is see if we can come up with some sort of other list. Once we're done with this today, I'll get a full list of all these suggestions together, and maybe we can, I'll send something out to everybody. If you all would like to participate in something like that, feel free to just email me. My email is stephen@rossware.net, and that's STEPHEN. If you'd like to participate in some sort of voting up and voting down of these feature suggestions, that would be great. Thank you, Sean, very much. What else have we got here? We got a lot of feature suggestions. I love
it. Stephen, I have a question, if possible.
Yeah. Hi, Leo.
Hi. So on the Android version of SD Mobile, on the Work tab,
yep.
You could select the parts that were included or special ordered or triaged, what have you, and you could select that checkbox, and that propagates the part to be visible on a ticket. And what I've seen happening is that technicians, to save some time of researching of the part and plug in the part number on the ticket side, they would just select that box, checkbox. And once they do, it goes to the ticket. However, you cannot uncheck that box.
I see what you're saying. So you're talking about parts pick items or special order parts that they're indicating that they used. Okay. And you're saying that you can't uncheck it. So the purpose of the checkbox versus the little X on the right side is to give them the option to choose between those two designations. There is no for us in our system. There's no designation of unchosen. In other words, for them to submit that job, they have to choose either they use that part or they didn't use that part. And if they didn't use that part, why they didn't use that part. So if the technician selected that they did indeed want to use that part, and it goes to the ticket, if they want to remove it from the ticket, they can uncheck the box that says use work parts. And then for that specific ticket, it won't be shown to the customer or what have you. Is that the problem that you're running into, or is it a problem that they would like to uncheck that box for some other reason?
So the reason why they would like, again, we need to understand why they're checking that box. That's the most important. The reason why they're checking that box is not to show usage of the part,
but they just want to get that ease of use. If you check that box, it will then populate that part number onto the ticket. Okay, so they're kind of doing it in reverse.
So tell me the rest of this process. So they check the part, it goes onto the ticket, and at this point in the workflow, they haven't actually used the part. They haven't gone about doing the repair. So what,
all they're doing is just creating an estimate. And
I see. Gotcha.
And if customer says, yeah, go ahead, then, no foul, no problem. But if the customer says that, no, we don't want to proceed forward, they cannot uncheck the box. Yeah, they can delete it from a ticket, but the box is already checked.
Oh, I see. In that case, this is just a matter of going back to that parts pick item and hitting the X, and then showing the reason that they didn't use it, which would be customer declined or whatever your equivalent is for your parts non-usage reasons. So this is just a matter of they check the box for usage, they go make the estimate, they talk to the customer says, no, I don't actually want to have this repair done. And then the technician would go back to the work tab and hit the X on that particular line item. And they would specify why they didn't use that part.
So you're saying even if they check the box, there's still an option for them to go ahead and indicate different
non-usage. Absolutely. Absolutely. They can go back, and once they hit that X, it'll be removed from the ticket tab as well. So it's there. They can check it. They can uncheck it as many times as they want to, unless they submitted the job. If they submitted the job with the estimate, then they can't go back and uncheck that box because we've submitted that usage to service desk. So for them, if they're talking to a customer and they're showing them an estimate, it's important for them not to submit that work until the customer has either approved or declined in this workflow, for this specific workflow. I totally see what you're saying. So if they wanted to just put that on the ticket and then they want to submit an estimate, you're right. There's no way for them to indicate that they want it on the estimate without actually using it. That you're right. That is 100% a deficiency. We do have a new system coming out relatively soon where we give you the option on every line item to make that line item quote operative. This is the next version. This is 6.2. It's already mostly done. And for that version, for that specific parts pick item, they could say that they want that parts pick item to show up in the list of line items, but they don't want it to be an operative engagement. So if that makes sense to you, does that make sense to you? In essence, your question is for an estimate, you want it on the estimate, but you don't want to actually indicate that they used the part.
Correct. But your resolution or your workaround is just as good. I was not aware that there is a way for us to dispose of the part or to indicate disposition of the part if they've checked it. Box has been checked. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And that's totally valid as well. They can check the box. They can use the send estimate independently instead of submitting the ticket. They can just send that and then go back and take it out and then submit your PDR. That's totally acceptable.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Thanks for your question. All right. Well, what else have you guys got? Oh, Sean, was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I talked to you guys a while back, and I don't know if you guys got it resolved, but also when we're on the job and so forth, especially like warranty and stuff, is there a way when we send the ticket from a SD mobile, have the pictures that we take and attached automatically to the invoice?
There's not currently, but I love that idea. I do think that we should have some sort of mechanism for attaching those photos. As of this moment, as far as I'm aware, we don't have any mechanism to attach those photos whatsoever.
I would love to have that because it saves the office some time if the tech can just already attach all that stuff, especially if you go out on something that's damaged or you damage something, you get taken the pictures. It's it's kind of that transparency, so the customer doesn't feel like later on, well, they're not going to get me anything, and I'm going to have to fight them type of thing to get it.
Right.
So
no, I think that's a great idea. Maybe what we could do is when you take a quick pic, we could have a little box next to it that says include on ticket email or something like that. Yeah, I like that idea. That's great.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you, Sean. Looks like we got a thumbs up from Michael there. Appreciate the additional feedback. That's great. All right. Well, feel free to think through some more questions. I'll go through some common questions here while we're waiting, and you can just think of stuff. And as soon as I've finished a few of these, we can go ahead and do the hand raising thing, so we don't have too much blank space just staring at each other, or I guess you staring at me. Some common questions that we get. A lot of people have been asking, why do we have to use the new app? The old iOS app, the old iPad app it's perfectly fine. Why are we moving to a new one? The pretty common question that we get, and the short answer is that the old application, the old iOS application, only works on iOS. It doesn't work on iOS and Android. So we created this new application to work on both systems. And we've put an awful lot of time and effort and energy into creating this new system. And because it works on both platforms, we can double the effectiveness of our work for you just by working on this new application. So and soon, this may be news to some of you. Windows 11 is accepting Android applications as full executables. So soon this will also be available on Windows, which hopefully will be good news for somebody. That's a pretty common question that we get. Some other questions that we've got here. I don't know if you all have seen the template system. I don't think Carrie talked too much about the template system the last time we were here. Do any of you guys use the template system in your work? Has it been valuable at all? Do you know what the template system is? Perhaps not. Well, just as a quick aside, I'll show you really quick here. Let me share my screen. See if I can. Oh, it won't let me share my screen. That's unfortunate. Okay.
Here, I'll give you permission to do that.
It's not a matter of permission. It's a matter of permission inside my computer. My computer won't let me share the screen unless I restart Zoom, and well, that is not an option at this moment. So you'll just kind of have to play along with me. In SD Mobile, we've got a template system where you can take the work that you've done on prior jobs. Let's say it's a really common type of job that you're going to fix a seal or something like that, and you always use the same part. You always use the same labor rate. You always have the same work description, things like that. You can save that work as a template and use it later. Kind of a cool idea, but I've been wondering if anybody actually uses it. So you all have feedback on that. I'd appreciate it. Another question that we get very frequently is very similar to people not liking the transition from the old app to the new app. A lot of people will question, they say, why the heck does the new app look the way that it does? I really liked the way that the old app looked, and I wish we could have something that looks the same. Well, it just so happens we added a theme to the new application that will make it look just like the old one, as long as you're on an iPad or a slightly bigger screen. You can open up your settings, and inside your settings, you've got a view option or a theme option, and you can choose old SDMI, and it'll look very similar to the way that the old app looked. I think those are probably the most common questions that we get from technicians, but I've given you a little bit of time there to think for yourself about maybe some more questions that you've got. So what have you got here? Go ahead, John.
Seems like I got a lot.
Love it.
Anyway, I've just actually started putting use the Blue Book stuff, and I like it so far. It's just when I go into ticket and then the ticket list drop down, and then to go to MPH Blue Book. Okay, if I've created or looked up a price for a previous ticket, if I scroll down, I have, like right now I'm looking at them, I've got about 10 of them in there, which is not for that job, but every time if I open them up, they'll have that job's name. So it's like I said, it's showing everything that I've looked up. So like if I have 6 jobs today and looked all 6 of them up for through there, it'll have them in that particular list.
Gotcha. And, do you mind just sending me a screenshot of that? And really, thank you so much for trying out that new alpha Blue Book integration. We have a few things in that pipeline, like I was talking about with the line items that you can choose to indicate that they're operative or not. I think that's really going to change this process a lot, because now you'll be able to change the designation of your part from a used part to an ordered part right there. Everything is instead of being actually on that version on 6.1, has it transitioned from used parts and ordered parts to just line items? I don't remember.
You got a slider there that says actual use or order.
Okay. So we have already transitioned there. Perfect. Cool. Has that is that a good thing in your process, or is that an added layer of confusion for you?
I don't know. I haven't used it. I just, when you were talking about it, I just seen it. So
okay.
I will play with it here this rest of this week and next week and see. But
great.
I think it'd be, for me at least, I think it'd be good because if you actually order it or used when you submit ticket, I think that'd be good. So
yeah, the reason for that slider in particular, the actually use or actually order slider, is what we found is a lot of technicians who were really familiar with the system. When they created an estimate, they would go and they'd put the parts in the ticket only. So they'd go and create the ticket parts, and then later they'd go back, and if the customer approved or if they won that estimate, then they'd go back to the work tab and they'd add those parts into the work tab. So we changed that process around completely. Now you actually go into the ticket and you add your parts, and the parts now your parts are now attached to the ticket, and then they move into the work tab if you have that little checkbox checked to indicate that they're operative parts. So it's just kind of a different way of thinking about things, and I think a lot of technicians were really confused about the difference between work parts and ticket parts. And this was designed to try to take away some of that confusion, hopefully.
Sure.
But yeah, great. Well, I do appreciate
What's your email address? I can send that to you.
Yeah, just send it over to Stephen, Stephen, at rossware.net.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sean. Anybody else have any new queries? Sorry, I know this is my thing, but a lot of pressure on you all, so sorry about that.
That's how this was designed, was people to just like to open up the forum and have people ask questions. That's what Blade wanted. So
Sure.
You're not putting any pressure. It's the pressure's on you actually to have an answer.
For sure. Well, the answers are easy. I feel like the questions are the hard part.
Stephen, can we verify one more time what is the latest version for SD mobile Android?
Yeah, so the absolute latest version is 0.61. That's the alpha that's out right now. 0.59 is the beta, and 0.56 or 5.8, I can't recall which, is the current production version. Are you familiar with the difference between those? Are you familiar with how to access each of those?
I'm familiar what they are, but I don't know how to access them.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So the production version, you just install the application and it'll be on 0.56. For 0.59, you've got to go to your settings, and under user settings, you can turn on the beta updates, and that'll move to 0.59. It's got some new features in it. 0.59, I have checked pretty thoroughly with quite a few clients, and everybody at this point is quite confident that 5.9 needs to be the new production. So I was hoping to do that last week, but I've been out of the state for a week. But we're hoping to move that into production this week. And then 6.1 is the alpha version. It's unstable, which means that I release more frequent updates to that. And 6.1, in order to access that, you need to open up your debug menu and turn on show debug, and then go back up to your user settings and turn on alpha updates. And then in order to update the application, if it doesn't update when you turn on that little toggle, just go to the jobs list, and in the upper right hand corner, you've got the little teeny tiny refresh in the upper right hand corner. Hit that and it'll ask if you want to update to that version. I would recommend for you and for your techs to be on 0.59, because that's going to be the production version. Hopefully as soon as possible, maybe as soon as we get off this call. I'm not sure. Is that enough information? I know that's a lot of information.
Yeah, it is. Well, I actually tried it. So we were at 2.56. I went to settings, and then I moved the toggle switch for a beta version, and it's right now updating. I'm not sure if it's going to get the the newest version or not, but I'll let you know before this session ends.
Okay, thanks, Leo. I appreciate that. All right, well, floor is open for anybody who has any other questions there. Except Kenton, he's not allowed to ask any questions.
Stephen?
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I think one of the things is the people that really should be on this call are probably all the technicians in the field. You know, not everybody
Agreed.
here is a
Right.
actual user. I mean,
Absolutely.
I was a user for years, and then being in the office, it's like I'm aware of the Windows version of, and I've got 2 techs with Android and 2 techs with iOS. You know, everybody else is using the Panasonic Toughbook, and that was some pretty good news that you said when, if Windows 11 comes out, that it's going to be dropping with Android there for the app as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think sometimes when we're kind of removed from that process, from the tech process, it's hard to understand even the scope of what the techs go through in the new application. Because what reason do a lot of us have to dive into that system? Sean in particular, he's a mobile tech, and I mean I know over the years I've gotten great feedback from him. He's really been helpful in the process. But of everybody else, I'm not really sure. I think most of you all are management. So, I mean, you're welcome. But I also agree. I would love to hear some feedback from techs or some questions from techs. So maybe if we do another one of these things, we should indicate that in our original query. But.
Yeah, we did have an issue that it hasn't surfaced again, but in SD Mobile Windows version, something about having 2 jobs open at the same time, and we were losing information that we had input into a job. Because sometimes you go to a house and you may have 3 appliances and you've got 3 tickets, and you open up different instances of SD Mobile, and you got to make sure that you've got that appliance in each instance, because you could click on the same job in 2 instances and that
lose information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So not sure because it hasn't happened to me. I've only heard from the techs. So
Gotcha.
That's something.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting use case. I especially for the new application, you can only have one instance open at a time unless you've got multiple phones or something like that. So for Windows, that is an interesting use case. The reason that they had multiple instances open were just so that they could have those jobs kind of, you know, doing something on one job and go back to the other one and sort of fill things out at the same time. What was their reasoning for that? Do you remember?
Got to turn a dishwasher on or something like. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Did I freeze up?
Just a little.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the reason is you go in and you've got 3 appliances. Well, you got to run them to verify the issue or whatever. So you go upstairs or wherever, you turn on the washing machine, you go in the kitchen, you turn the dishwasher on, and when you punch in on that ticket, you're punching at what time you start working on that product or whatever, or when you arrive at the house. So it's kind of like making the most use of your time. Otherwise, you have to take a pencil and write it down or open up WordPad or whatever. And we all know that our technicians out in the field, they're not all computer geniuses, and they're like, Word what? So
right, absolutely.
So anyway, just that's why it's great to be able to open multiple versions up. But if there was some way that maybe a message would come up and said, this job is already open, or you can't edit this one because it's open in another version or something, don't know what that would take, or if we just continue to just be careful.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I know. So Glade, he created the Windows version. I'm responsible for the iOS and Android version, especially the new one. I think from his perspective, his purpose was that there was one instance of SD Mobile opened at a time. That doesn't mean that it's not possible or that it's wrong to open multiple instances at a time. But sometimes as developers, we make decisions based on the assumptions that we have, based on how we think you'll do your work. And sometimes the assumptions that we have are incorrect. That may be one of those cases where if he had assumed that people would do that, he would have a different structure in mind that would not cause those sorts of issues. But unfortunately, I think just when the application was created, it was intended to be a single app at a time. In order to fix that, it may require some significant effort. So it may be better just to wait until the new app swings into Windows. And I think from the Windows application side with the new app, you should be able to have multiple instances open because it only submits data and saves data when you change it. So I think it should be able to do that, but we'll have to find out when we get to that stage, when Windows 11 comes out, I suppose.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael.
Stephen, I got one here. So in the mean version or Windows version, whatever, there are certain specs for technicians where you designate what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Is it possible to have that working with SD Mobile as well?
Absolutely. So you're talking about PVR enforcement,
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been on our list for quite some time. My personal opinion and part of the reason why I haven't focused on this is often things will not go the way that we anticipate that they'll go at the office, and sometimes that additional step of being incapable of accessing another job causes more work for you at the office than it saves. However, I totally understand, and I've spent quite a bit of time both with clients, small and large, chatting about this particular topic, and everybody agrees that technicians occasionally make decisions that those of us who spend our time in the office maybe wouldn't make at the same time. And those enforcements do need to be in place. So I apologize that it's taken so long to get those in the new app, but it's not much effort to put in, and it is on my list. I wish I could share my screen right this second. I'd show you my list, but it's on my short list as opposed to my long list. We've got a couple hundred overall items, maybe not a couple hundred, maybe about 100 items overall. And there's only about 15 short items. So that's coming pretty soon. If not 6.2, should be 6.3.
That's great. And
Thanks,
it's not that we would enforce it to all technicians, but there's certain ones that
specific ones.
Constantly don't submit their PVRs on time until the next morning, and that creates a lot of problems, obviously. So
right, absolutely.
We have the tool to enforce that PVR submission.
Yeah, absolutely. And totally, I recognize that needs to be in there. And I agree. A lot of specific technicians have trouble with that. In the past, I have had the mindset that often that's a training problem and less an app problem. But I think you're right. The app is a tool for you to get your, to help run your business. And if there's something that we can do to help that, we need to do it. So absolutely. I appreciate that, Leo.
Stephen, we in the Windows version have used that in the past because you can enforce it. And we had a technician that just thought he was done for the day because he didn't get his next call. And later in the afternoon, we're getting calls from customers, and we called and he went home.
Oh, where's my tech? Oh, no.
Yeah, because he didn't complete the job, so he didn't get his next job. So
what do you guys think about, so Glade has that system of reprieves where you kind of have brownie points saved up and you can use those as a reprieve to access another job. What do you all think about that? Do you think it should be actually impossible to access another job, or do you think it should just be difficult to access another job, or do you think maybe we need the exact same system that Glade has in the Windows application? What do you all think?
Well, we're not using any brownie point system at all, but I know all of our techs are pretty literate with the Windows version, and they'll just, if they need to keep that job open for whatever reason and not submit it, they'll open another version of SD Mobile and continue on.
I see. So they don't use the reprieves. They actually open up a separate instance to sort of bypass that restriction.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because us being on the East Coast, we have a lot of manufacturers on the West Coast, especially with outdoor kitchens and things like that, that our technicians are on the road at, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and at their first call, and they may need tech support, or some of them do not have any online parts lookup or anything like that. And we have to actually call the factory, and it's way late by the time we can really get anybody if they open at 9 Pacific time. It's time for us to go to lunch here.
Right. Yeah, the time zone changes do make some of those things pretty tough.
Right. And thank God Mr. Kenton gets in at 6 a.m. your time. I'm still tapping my finger on the desk at 9 o'clock here, watching the clock,
waiting for him to get in.
Call him.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, he's an early bird, man. He gets in there every day and just and he also has to drive quite a ways to get into the office as well. So he's getting up really early just to get in the office for you all.
I'll tell you what, he's definitely an asset for service desk. He's an awesome guy.
I totally agree, isn't he? Yeah, I love the guy. He's one of my favorites.
Don't let it go to your head, Kenton.
Right.
Kenton, I'm pushing for brownie points, buddy.
Yeah, the next time he calls in, you're gonna have to be on your best behavior.
So I would like to jump on that question you had about reprieves. I think there should be some reprieves. It shouldn't be 100% lock. It should be, maybe 5 per day, or 3 per day, just to deal with those special situations. But I don't think reprieves should be as widely available as they used to be, because back in the day, there was no way to set, specific specs for each technician. So it was, one for all tool. So now you could limit certain technicians. Right. And with that, you probably want to have more tighter
more stringent policy. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I totally hear where you're coming from. Now, one of the things that I've thought about for this specific system, in the application, you typically have a list of jobs, right? If we're using the PVR enforcement, generally you really only have one job that you can access. So one option that I have is I can only show that one job. You don't see any of the other jobs unless you click maybe like a reprieve button, and that will allow you to see the other jobs temporarily until you move into a job or something, come back. Do you think that would be sufficient for your operation with this kind of a system? Obviously, it would only be for specific text.
I don't think so. I don't think we need to go that far, because they do want to plan their day. They want to see what they have on their plate, and just removing that and have complete mystery. That's probably would be a little more
too harsh.
Yeah, a little bit more Nazi-like requirement.
Definitely. Yeah, right.
Than it's really need to be.
I go ahead and pipe in a little bit, Stephen, on that.
Absolutely.
So on one, to address part of what Michael was saying, the technicians have the ability to automatically schedule the appointment as a return to later. And so it will automatically reschedule it and redispatch it to them. So then it becomes a new appointment that they can then open up to and be able to do their follow-up. They can also mark that as a pseudo appointment. So it marks it as a fake appointment so that they know that they don't have to go back to the same location. And then also kind of catching on what Leo was saying there at the end, we do still have the ability to use the future scheduler site to be able to view the full route if that's something the technician needed to review. If they still wanted to maybe isolate, like you were talking about, more on a single job at a time.
Okay. So. Well, yeah. Thanks, Kenton. I do appreciate that. Well, maybe we'll try to do something similar to what we had in Windows. I totally understand where everybody's coming from, and we are planning to put that feature in. Just a matter of the specifics of how we want to implement it. So, thanks so much for that feedback there.
just one more comment I have is that
Yeah.
I think better is evil. Is sometimes is an enemy of good.
Agreed.
I would, because I know it takes quite a bit of programming and logic to put all these restrictions in there.
Yep.
Maybe at first do, kind of a one single way of doing that. If Canton, according to Canton, if that technician is still able to see appointments in the scheduler, then yeah, let's do it this way. Just restrict the rest of them. Do one, and until you finish this one, you cannot see the other one. And that's, I think, from programmatic standpoint of view, should be easier for you to do.
Much easier. Yeah, definitely much easier. The reprieve system is not, it's not a daunting task by any means, but it is definitely one of those tasks that's going to take, maybe a few hours when compared to just a few minutes task. But I agree with you there. Maybe one step in that direction would be more helpful than trying to implement an entire system.
Yeah, to take. Yep.
I agree with you there. Thanks for your consideration there. Well, I've got at least a couple questions for you all. Maybe especially Sean. If you all were to name your biggest wish that you wish that SD Mobile did, what would you say your biggest wish would be? And it can be anything. It could be crazy. It could be like, I wish SD Mobile would do my work for me or install the parts for me. That's fine. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but I'd love to hear your biggest wishes with SD Mobile.
Since nobody's saying anything, let me try. Is it possible to maybe have a flow chart or kind of a workflow guidance for new technicians where, even if you train them, they forget certain steps, and some kind of a thing about, number one, you go here and this is where you put your information. Number two, you have to designate the parts. Number three, some kind of a wizard that they can go through.
Absolutely. So you're like a tutorial kind of thing early?
Tutorial wizard on how to use this properly. Because to be honest with you, we've been using SD Mobile for many years, and we still don't have a concise way of training our people.
Mm-hmm.
We take training very seriously. We have multiple manuals on every step we have here. We have a lot of processes. We're a larger organization, so. And this is one of the things that we're kind of lacking. It's all kind of like hearsay. We'll always cross our fingers that the trainer is properly showing what needs to be done on SD Mobile side. So,
yeah, that's great feedback. I love that idea. So originally, I'll tell you this: my very first design of SD Mobile, when I was thinking of SD Mobile in its original state, I was thinking about recreating the product that Glade had made. In its current form. And in the work tab, how you have each of those little bars that expands and collapses. So originally we had 10 or 12 of those bars, and they were each step of the process. So you would open the first bar and it would be clock in. You'd open up the second bar and you'd verify the UIS or verify the machine information. Open up the third bar and it was quick picks, etc. We found that in that original sequence of steps, technicians got frustrated because everything wasn't all visible on the screen. So we tried to change it around a little bit and give you those quick options at the top, where with the arrive and the depart and things like that. But a tutorial would be, I think, as far as I know, pretty straightforward. We would basically just show some extra little boxes on the top and have like a workflow system. I love that idea. Sean, go ahead.
I think this kind of goes along the same line. Even though I am a tech, I do own my own company. So, I'm a little bit of both here.
Yeah.
But I think a checklist of, and it wouldn't have to be long, or maybe it's just something that maybe we could do as businesses, but say, we talk to the customer about issues. We talk to them about our cleanup, just kind of a checklist for technicians. Did we check the power? Did we, especially I would have to say, because would love to start hiring my first technician.
Yeah, heck yes.
And to be able to have them go through these steps and know that they, made sure the area was clean before they left type of thing, and have to check it so that I know that they're doing what I want them to do. I know that's a lot of work on techs, don't get me wrong, because like I said, I am a tech, but I'm also an owner. I want them to do certain steps to make sure that I'm not getting that phone call later on saying, hey, your guy was here, you did a great job, but he left water all over the floor, or he left tracked in the house, or whatever. And I know other programs have done this before, because this is not my only job I've ever done in my life. So, I mean, I've worked with systems that have had stuff similar to this.
Yeah.
And I just think that would be kind of, because I know you got the listing of the, sign off for the PDFs and so forth, where you can attach those where people agree that, water's maybe on the floor or may scratch or whatever.
Right. Yep.
But it'd be nice to have a checklist for them to actually check down through that they did these things.
Yeah. I love that idea. I really, really like that idea a lot. And I'm sure you've noticed on the work tab how each of those bars that's expandable and collapsible has a little checkbox on the right side. That was originally the purpose of that checkbox, but now it's automatic. Michael, just a really quick second here. Thank you so much for raising your hand there. As far as a custom checklist goes, I really, really like that idea. And I think we could do that really quite quickly. I think every business has their own set of procedures, especially considering now during COVID, you had to ask people, have you asked these specific questions of your technicians, that kind of thing. I love where you're coming from. That's great.
I know that they have that on the desktop version for like the COVID thing, but I think right now still would be a good thing for that technician, either en route when they're calling or when they get there, saying, we're just trying to reaffirm, okay, I checked that this person said nobody in the house has COVID. Right. It's kind of looking out for everything. It's looking out for the tech. It's looking out for the company, because let's face it, I think we've all met that person that says, oh, you did this. Well, no, we didn't. We checked off on it. You saw it. We explained that this is what we did, and go from there. So
yeah. Well, also congratulations. If you're ready for that first tech, I'm excited for you. I hope that goes great.
Me too.
Yeah. All right, Michael, what have you got for us? You are muted if you're talking.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm overheating here, so I keep fading in and out. I'm on my old shoe here.
Yeah.
With Windows 7. But anyway, one of the things that we definitely have an issue with is the search. So if you go to the SD work diary and you type in a keyword, good luck with that.
Yeah, that's true.
I know a lot of times I'll call Kenton, or I've tried to do all the research I can on our end as much as we could to fix it before we call, but it doesn't always happen. So I'm not sure what can be done with that.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we've talked about this in the past at Rossware, and we do have some small form of a wiki, and I think a wiki would probably really suit that purpose. You've got some specific problem, and you, similar to Wikipedia, you can find a list of problems and solutions. We do have some of that, but I don't think we've got that available to the public. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kenton. But I love where you're coming from. I do think that the work diaries are great for information, but they are a poor source of skimmable information. It's really difficult to sometimes pull out the stuff that you care about from those work diaries. And especially the search function, I agree. It really should be improved. So that's a great wish list item. I appreciate that. Since Kenton didn't say anything, I'm going to assume I am correct. So thanks. Did anybody else have any big wish list items? We've only got a few minutes here before we got to go, but I'd love to hear some more wishes if you've got them. I am a genie after all. We got a question. Oh, go ahead. Somebody have a thing there?
Yeah. It's Mike Bassage again. Another thing is what's out there that for us to see for the future that we can share with the techs?
Oh yeah, we've got a ton of future stuff coming. I really appreciate that question. So I'll go open my list really quick and just share a few things from our future. Some of the things that you've got to look forward to in the next version, some things that you've got to look forward to in future versions past that. Some of these things they already exist inside the Windows app, and some of these things don't. But often we're just trying to play catch up with the Windows version. But some of the things that we're looking for right now, we're going to show attention notes on the job in a place that you can see after you upload an attention note as a tech. Sometimes techs will push up attention notes and they forget what they put in there. They don't have access to it. So that's one thing that we're adding. We're adding PVR enforcement. We're going to make it easier for techs to call ahead all phone numbers for a customer's call ahead, so they can choose, select several numbers one after the other. We're adding POS insertions to the next version. We're adding the feature to auto set the manufacturer date in the UIS in the next version. Appointment time creation is going to come from your list of appointment time frames, just like you have in the Windows version and in Windows on the desktop. We are adding the model hot list and a couple other hot lists into the system as well. We're adding a new zip code hot list into Service Desk itself, and we may have those create attention notes for the tech. We are adding. Hopefully, this is one of my personal wishes. We're adding a automatic ticket merging system, because often on a job that had a prior estimate and is now receiving an invoice, you just want to merge that stuff over right away. And techs currently have to do quite a bit of work to get those tickets merged together. We're adding a system where if you use a part that has an alt, it'll switch to the correct alt of that part. We are doing quite a few things. I'm hoping to add a calendar view into the main list so that you can see more jobs further out directly in the application. Obviously, if the business has chosen to show the future sched viewer. We're making some visual changes. We're adding a new chip reader. Man, we got a lot of stuff coming up here, huh? That's not everything. That's probably about half of my list, but is that about what you're looking for there?
Yeah. Yeah. And one other thing, it's both a SD mobile and an SD issue. Mm-hmm. When the techs put in additional notes, those notes will stay in the office. But when you're in the office and you'll go ahead and you'll archive a job or whatever, unless you put brackets around it, it won't save.
You're talking about the attention notes?
Yeah, I really think that it should save no matter what. And then if somebody wants to delete it after the fact, because sometimes you go back and you go, oh crap, it's not there anymore.
I fully agree with you there. I had a
one
conversation.
Of the things for us, one of the things for us is gate codes. Mm-hmm. So we'll go to Mrs. Jones' house, and 8 months later, we're going for their gate code again. And, that generates another phone call, and then the office is involved and everything else. And if we could just keep that stuff instead of having to make sure the office puts brackets, because not always do.
I agree with you fully there. I had a conversation with Glade about this specific topic 2 days ago, and he specifically said that a lot of those are ephemeral, and he thinks that they ought to be deleted. I'm of the opinion that they need to be saved no matter what. We don't really care about disk space these days, and we are. I'll push for that a little bit harder, especially hearing from additional customers who think the same way. Sometimes the thoughts that we have are not the same as the thoughts of you all who are in the field using the application every day. And I think your thoughts should trump ours. So I appreciate your feedback there.
Yeah. And that as well, if we want to delete it, then we can delete it rather than have the system
a choice instead of automatically deleting it. I fully agree with you there. It maybe instead of having brackets mean that they're permanent, maybe you have some other brackets to mean that it's a temporary thing instead, because I think that the default should be to save. I agree with you there. All right. Well, we were running on 30 seconds left here, so I'll just leave you here with some thanks. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for participating. I know that it can be a challenge to participate sometimes, a little bit nerve-wracking to chat with peers and things like that. But I really do appreciate you all stepping in and saying some words. Thank you, guys.
And Stephen, if people have questions that they couldn't think of or, that come to mind, do you have an email address or how would you prefer they reach out?
Absolutely. I'll leave it here in the chat. It's just Stephen@rossware.net. And feel free to email me anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking over today and doing the Q&A for Glade. We really appreciate it. It was fun. And everyone, thank you for joining us and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.